Welcome back to our Learning Community video set. So far in this series, you've learned what a learning community is, and you've heard the impact it's having on students and staff alike. The main takeaway: the variety of dynamic spaces has been a catalyst for student-centered teaching and learning. We understand that making the switch from a four-wall classroom to a learning community may seem daunting. So we're here to help you by sharing our top 5 best practices in a learning community.
Our first best practice in a learning community is to embrace the word our.
We use our to describe our space, our students, our materials, etc.
We're working together as one team with one goal.
Teachers and students need to respect and take pride in the community, and this is a partnership.
Number 2 on our list is to give students a real sense of ownership in these spaces.
At first, we weren't sure if kids could handle it, but giving them the freedom to move around the space and to find a place that works for them and to help make the environment feel like their own, they really want that freedom and they don't want to lose it.
I empower my students to have a sense of ownership in the space by having them figure out together with me how they learn best.
We empower students to have a sense of ownership in the learning space by letting them create the norms at the start of each school year.
Another helpful tip we recommend in a learning community is to integrate student-centered pedagogy, such as PBL.
A learning community is a great space for project-based learning due to the variety of the seating and the space itself. For example, in the beginning of a project, we typically launch and we might be on the stage. So we have the whole class together and we're getting everyone excited. We might bring in an expert.
Students are able to spread out. They can seek comfortable seating and find a place to work where they're going to be productive.
We have the space in order to collaborate, and we're no longer held by 4 walls.
Leverage your existing best teaching practices.
This is important for teachers moving into a learning community to hear. The variety of spaces does not mean you throw out all the practices you've come to hone as a classroom teacher. It likely pushes you to be more collaborative and more flexible. But all your best teaching practices are still at your disposal.
One teaching practice that I've carried over as a classroom teacher is setting high expectations for all of my students.
Allow the students the choice in how they direct their learning.
Regardless of whether you're in a classroom or a learning community, it's important to build the self-esteem of the student. Each child needs to know his or her value in the learning community.
And finally, utilize the space that is best for your activity.
We find our PBL time works well in the Commons. Art and science generally start in the active lab, and then teacher-directed lessons begin in the learning studio. In every instance, there's the ability to pivot, to break out, or even to take learning outside if the weather is good. The idea here is that you have access to different spaces for different reasons, so be creative and welcome more movement throughout the day.
It's natural to fear the unknown, so I understand when teachers and parents are concerned about how a new spatial model will affect kids. Will they be safe? Will they have too much freedom? Will they be distracted? As someone who has witnessed the transition from teachers working in isolated classrooms to a community of learners, young and old, working in collaboration with each other, I can attest to the positive impact it has made. No one here would want to go back. We hope these best practices make the transition to a learning community more approachable for your school. Don't forget to watch our last video in this series, which talks about starting strong in a learning community.